I would like LDS leadership to call local authorities first and foremost when crimes are reported. I would like true believing members of the church to acknowledge abuse as a crime, not as a sin, and to be more focused on protecting victims of abuse than they are in redeeming the perpetrators. I hope there's some sort of tipping point where there is just outrage and community and a
Mm.
place for abuse survivors to feel seen and feel validated.
Do you think that means the end of the LDS?
Heather, welcome officially to A Little Bit Culty.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
I don't know if you remember this, but our mutual friend Kate Casey tried to get us to talk maybe 3 years ago, and we were texting. Does this ring a bell? It was probably in the
Oh,
middle of like your life blowing up.
my life blowing up and me running in fear from anything with the word cult, for sure. Yes,
That's
Yeah,
you've em-
yeah.
you've embraced that word since then, it appears.
I mean, embrace would be a strong term, but I mean, I'm certainly saying it now. It's like four-lettered C words are hard for me to
Yeah.
say.
Both are very charged. First of all, like there's so much going on in your life. How are you doing like right now? You're in the midst of this crazy press tour. Are you okay? Are you grounded? Are you spiraling?
Always spiraling, never grounded, and that's normal. That's baseline. So I feel good. Like strangely enough, like the busier I am and the more overwhelmed that I feel, like the happier I am, probably because, less time for navel gazing or introspect. I just really like to keep I just like to make hay while the sun shines. I feel like I'm in this phase of life I never thought I'd have. So I just want to grind,
That's
constantly.
great.
I didn't realize how similar we are in that way. So I get that. I don't sit still very easily. I like to just keep going, sometimes to
Yeah.
my detriment. But I'm glad that you're okay, even though it's intense, and that makes me happy.
Well, that's the benefit of being dead inside is it doesn't matter how intense it gets, there's no range. So
It's
the
true.
Noah Kahn song like I drive the farthest on empty, that
Mhm.
really rings true for me. So let's go.
Let's do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're not embracing fully the word cult. You're maybe giving it a little like hug and a tap or something. And we'll get into that later. Are you okay with the arc of, starting a little bit with your journey, your bad Mormon story, and then why you're doing the show now and what you've learned?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I my life changed by becoming a real housewife of Salt Lake City.
Yes.
And that was this, you know, I think of it as like a vine that came through. I swung from the Mormon vine and the Mormon community straight into the housewife community and like a world that for the first time kind of broke me out of the bubble that I'd been
Hmm.
living in, like in ways that I didn't even understand, just
No.
exposure to ideas and morals and values and hopes and ambitions and dreams that just had never been accessible or available to me. And so with that, it really gave me independent thought and independent income for the first time in my life. And I wanted to write the book, Bad Mormon. And the book really opened up this whole world that I didn't ever know existed because when you're in the faith, you don't, you only know the good and you only know the positive. You don't look beyond. But then once you leave, I was really exposed to just this whole huge ex-Mormon community that just kind of swooped me up. And in part of that community was also the housewife community. So it was a really interesting transition to go from, you know, one cult to another. The book kind of was the portal to make that happen. And so once I realized there's this unique kind of merge of pop culture and faith deconstruction, like it just felt like I needed to seize the opportunity and talk
Yeah.
about it on a grander scale.
You've totally leaned into that, and I commend you for it and think that you're just such a badass for using your housewife platform for doing what you're doing now. And it's just like, it makes me, I get chills when I think about your capacity to make change. And for those people, Yeah, of course. For those people who've been living under a rock, sidebar, when the Housewife in general franchise started was 2006, I believe, and we were knee deep in Nexium, so we kind of like missed that whole
I
thing. And
think I
like,
would have missed it had I not been in New York.
I don't know, I won't speak for you.
No offense.
It's not your. I probably would have loved it, but I also like reality TV shows, and we just weren't allowed to satiate. Like it wasn't yeah,
For
just
the
like
record,
just
I
like
did
the.
plenty of that.
I know you did.
Yeah,
You were a bad Nexium
yeah.
person. I was a good.
I'm
I was.
comparing the
I
contrast
know,
to
but like you couldn't drink coffee. We weren't supposed to be satiating in like reality TV. But anyway, for those who've been living under a rock, you before you were a bad Mormon, you were a very good Mormon. You were a really good. You were a high achieving, gold star, searching, going for it Mormon. Yes, you were living the dream. And I just want to give people like a little bit of a picture about your childhood and what was good about it before you started to have doubts.
Everything. Everything was good about it because it was, I didn't know anything different and it was great. It was an idyllic childhood. It was my siblings were my best friends. My family loved each other. We had family dinners. We had Monday nights at home together. I knew that my family had special rules that the other kids in the neighborhoods didn't have. And I felt like we were cooler, happier, and special. And I felt that that was because we were Mormon. And I
Hmm.
felt like even as a child, like, hey, your life kind of looks like it sucks. Come to church with me. Come be a Mormon. Your parents, everything will change and you can have like this magical life I have too. And I probably felt that. I committed to feeling that until I was married. And
Hmm.
became impossible to force other people to commit to your same delusion.
The moment that really struck me in the book of like a red flag that you were very easily able to kind of override was when you got baptized. And you suddenly realized that all your friends and family had been keeping this secret from you. Can you give us a little tidbit of
Yeah,
that recognition?
I mean, it wasn't my baptism, but my endowment
But
ceremony.
that's
And
what I meant. Sorry.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, because
Yes.
my endowment was that's the moment when you go in, and I've been going to church with these people my entire life. I was 22 years old, like I was an adult, and I had conversations about everything. And I walk into the temple, and my dad is wearing a little chef's cap and a fig leaf apron, and my mom has temple robes on, and they're just stone-faced. And it's not even like a little weird. I mean, it's just like, this is who we are. This is what we do. And we had never, ever discussed it. And it had been a secret, like amongst my best friends, amongst my Sunday school teachers. Like, how are this many people keeping the secret this well? I mean, amongst safe spaces, I could understand keeping the secrets to outsiders, but in-house. I mean, we are very good at keeping secrets. That was astonishing to me. Even my best friends that had gone through the temple and gone through the ceremonies and been shell-shocked came out and like kind of said to me jokingly, like, just don't think about Chef Boyardee. And I'd be like, what do you mean don't think about Chef Boyardee? And like little Easter eggs like that are kind of a nod to like, hey, we're still normal. We still get that it's weird, but we are more allegiant to the covenants and oaths that we've made, which is,
Right.
secrecy at all costs. And those secrets were kept from me and they were kept from everyone. Now, even lifelong Mormons that have left the church for 15 years, when I tell them what goes on in the temple, that because they never went, they're like blown away because they still, even after leaving the church, no one's told them the secret rituals.
So the temple is when it cranks up. It
Oh
turns
yeah,
up
the
the heat.
temples, yeah.
So you can live amongst people in the temple. And
Outside the temple.
well, what I'm saying is you can live amongst people that
Who've been.
interface with the
Yeah.
temple. And there's that chasm. They know something you don't, and they walk around with that all the time. Is that kind of the atmosphere that you're in?
Yeah, exactly. And
Wow.
the objective is for everyone to get to the temple, but there's even secrets within the temple that you keep from your spouse. So you receive a special secret temple name, and your husband is allowed to know the wife's, but the wife is never allowed to know the husband's. So even within the temple, there are secret secrets between spouses, secrets between men and women, secret things that men, covenant to that the women are not privy to and don't have access to. So like the levels of
Yeah.
control and just
The
increase.
secrecy, well, secrecy is poisonous, but it also kind of keeps the infrastructure intact, I think, too, a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Also,
you all divided through the secrets.
Well, the secrets are divided, but it's like
Yeah.
collectively we honor the fact that we both have secrets and just subjugate ourselves to the fact that like I have to tell my husband my secret sacred temple name that only God knows, but if he told me his, he would be betraying God. So it's this allegiance to God,
Yeah.
allegiance to the church rules over allegiance to spouse, child, law enforcement, neighbors, and that's really where I think the hierarchy is damaging.
Yeah. Yeah.
hugely damaging, and we're going to get into that. On a lighter note, I also think it's a huge betrayal that no one told you that you can't wear a black bra underneath your white temple garments. I mean, that should be the first thing they tell you.
They didn't tell you that?
They didn't tell me, like, it
That's
never
so
occurred.
rude.
It's more fucked up than I thought,
Yeah.
Sarah.
I mean, talk about the shame.
Yeah.
Jeez, that'll
Who
do
owns a
it.
white bra when they're 21? I mean, what virgin owns a white bra? Well, me. I own the black bras because it was my only chance to wear them.
I loved your audiobook, by the way. I
Glad to
think
say I can't answer any of those
no, that's
questions.
not. This is between Heather and I. This is for me and Heather. Your audiobook's so good, especially when you describe what goes on in the temple in your endowment and like the cloth, the veil, and the handshake, and the tapping, and the whispering is just next level bizarre. And I understand why people keep it a secret because it's crazy, which I'm not telling you.
It's crazy. It's
It's crazy.
crazy. But what's crazier, and I say this with all the love in my heart for my devout Mormon friends and
Of
family
course.
and adherents. What's crazier still is the way that we make it normal and
Mm.
cool and reverent and sacred. It's a weird little like, what is it when you hit someone's knee to see if they have a reflex? It's like a little
Reflex. Yeah.
weird reflex mallet on a dirty rope hung to like a steel scaffolding. And like a little old lady taps the mallet and we make that like the angel Moroni. We make these
Mm.
weird things beautiful and sacred. And that's what's weird to me. Like, because if you took these people outside at a dinner table, we'd complain about a spot on the fork. But when we're in the temple, we'll take like a 40-year-old little mallet and act like it's a ram's horn from the hand of God.
I also was really struck by how there were elements like the first part of your ceremony where you were anointed with oil by the women as something that was really beautiful and something that really touched you and you felt very close to God. Do you think that sometimes the beautiful elements of it make the bad stuff like more okay because you're like holding on to the good stuff?
Yeah, I don't think I even allowed myself to view any of the weird stuff as bad. Like,
Right.
because, but when it felt good, when it felt less weird and felt more sacred, more reverent, yeah, you clung to that because that,
Hmm.
that balanced out like repressing the weird things. And I have to say, I just think I'm a sucker for all of it, for
Hmm.
religion and presentation and ritual and incense. I mean, for all of it, to have these women so reverently like anoint me with oil and place their hands on my head. And I had never seen a woman administer or do that. That was like out of left field. Like women don't hold the priesthood, they don't have that type of authority. So it's like, once again, another chamber of secrets within this chamber of secrets that no one ever said to me, two women are going to bless you. You're going to get naked, they're going to anoint you with oil, and they're going to bless you. No one said anything. They just said, put this on and go in this room. And I just went. And
That's
that's what
powerful.
happened.
I do think there's the the understanding what is good about it is important to see how it becomes so important and how it covers the bad until it doesn't.
And there's
Mhm.
also the component
Yeah.
of, was no an option for
Not at
you?
that point.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No,
I
no
think
was
that's
never an no was never an
right.
option because yeah, it was never an option. So you might as well make it great,
You could do anything. You could do anything.
Yeah. And
Y-
there
That's the
was
problem.
another part where I thought the weirder it was, like the ram's horn of oil, like the weirder it was, the more it had to be from God. Because what George Lucas, Star Wars creative director, is writing this stuff? You know what I mean? This could only come from otherworldly knowledge because it's so weird.
That's a good
That's
point.
a very good point.
It's like,
And hey, listen, no judgment. Like I lay
no, I got
on
lots
a
of judgment.
massage table
I got
and
lots of judgment
ask to be
around
branded.
Mormons.
So
Oh,
like, you know, in terms of ceremony and like ritual and going through it, but also you describe very well in your book how like in your head you're like, this is crazy, this is nuts, but I'm gonna do it because I said I would. And so
no, to be clear,
yeah,
the judgment's not on Heather, it's on the Mormons.
Oh yeah,
I mean, we could all judge each other's
I
I
think we're
got
paths,
allowed to
but
judge the Mormons and their Rams, and it's not
and
Heather
the
I'm
rams.
judging.
But when you say you laid on a massage table and asked to be branded,
yeah,
I understand that completely. Like I could, if you asked me to make that make sense, I could do the gymnastics and make it make sense and be
Totally.
like, it's a beautiful way to show surrender and
yeah.
to,
Hmm. Yeah.
I can do that. And that's, I think, weird.
Well, also
Yeah.
no wasn't an option for you.
It wasn't an option for me either, but I
Yeah.
think that's what's unique about our experiences, having totally different upbringings in completely different high control groups. We don't even have to say cults. You don't want to, I get it. Um, and yet you understand. You hear my story and I hear your story and I go, I get that.
Hmm.
I get why you had to go as far as you did
There's a pattern.
and vice versa. It's a kinship I feel like a lot of people don't have. So I appreciate that with you, Heather, that
No,
you
I
can
feel it.
imagine. Yeah, same.
Absolutely. Cult sisters forever.
Cult Sisters United. Start a new group. Uh-oh. Here we go.
That's how you know it is a cult, in that kinship, in that leaving and those experiences and that mind control. That it was in the leaving of the church that I began to be able to look at it that way and see our kinship and see how much it had indoctrinated the way I viewed the world and my role in it.
Same pattern, like across the board. Everything you're saying, I'm like, yep, that makes total sense.
Hmm.
Happening kind of within 5 years of each other, right? On the same continent. Like these things are like we are swimming in a lot of these patterns of abuse right now. And it's good that you guys are able to connect and
Yeah.
To talk
I
about
hope.
it, and
put
because
Yeah.
it's
language
going
to
to
it. Yeah.
grow, you
Yeah,
know.
it's not as crazy and obscure as you think, right? Because this is, it's in a lot of our institutions. So
Heather, I have to tell you, we came to Salt Lake about 4 years ago to do John Dehlin's podcast, who I know you know.
Yes, know and
And
love
which is
dearly.
an
yeah,
endurance,
and
it's
yeah,
an
but
endurance challenge.
yeah, the
When
longest podcast ever.
it's like meals, it's
But he
I
took
mean,
he
I
took
think
us.
I did 12 hours and I'd go
yeah,
back for 12 more. It's
yeah, and
right there.
it's never not like, yeah, that's a great question. I was never like, dude, anyway, go ahead.
But he took us around. He toured us around Salt Lake and took us everywhere. And I was just flabbergasted. We were both just like flabbergasted about the wealth and the monuments and the resources and just like it just made Nexium look like such a like dinky little stupid, tiny little.
Yeah,
The Mormon church is so huge. It's
Yeah.
so FLDS. Sorry, it's so extensive and wildly successful in terms of its growth. And I love being able to like look at specifically, what's not healthy because there's so many people that are like, no, it's not a cult, it's a religion and da da da. What's culty about it? Okay, I want to just tell you one of your, sorry, one of the red flags from your book that like you were a teenager and you had to go tell your bishop who's 50 years old about like your deepest sexual thoughts. Like how wildly inappropriate is that?
And I thought that made me special because he was more invested in my purity than the other girls. It even retelling the story now, I have to put it in a creepy context because I was trained to go into rooms with men from the time I was 8 years old and tell them anything that I was doing wrong and talk through it. Every sexual indiscretion I ever had, I discussed in detail with a man, 20 years older than me, and received permission from him to be forgiven by God. I mean, and that to me was how I accessed God and accessed progression and became better. And like the creepier they treated you, the more special you felt. And that was just grooming 101 that I can only say that now because I've had
Mm.
conversations like this with people who know more and can kind of guide me through. And like John Dehlin walked me
Mhm.
through it. Like I went in on his podcast, like not a cult, great church, just not for me.
Yeah.
And he was so deeply, deeply patient with me and still is. And I feel like he's like my cult coach,
Mm.
Yeah.
just guiding me like a shepherd and so many
Yeah.
other people too. But if it weren't for him, I would probably still be apologizing for it.
Mm. Way to go, John Dehlin. Big props to
What
him.
was the
And
shift?
everyone needs a cult coach.
Well,
We had cult coaches. But
well,
yeah, what was the shift that he helped you? How did he help you see that?
It was slow. I mean, it was like
yeah.
a slow moving ship. It was
Like,
it was
let me ask,
Wh-
were you able to, did you know that it was being called a cult? Were you defensive in there? Did he catch you on your defenses? Like, what was it? Or were you open to like, because he's
I
got to
wasn't
break
open.
down walls. Yeah. Okay.
I wasn't open, and I know the moment. There was a
Yeah.
Mhm.
moment when he was just kind of, and I was with my business partner during the podcast, and he was just kind of telling me all of these things, why it wasn't my fault and why I had been indoctrinated and how this was conditioning. And I sat there and I was just crying, and I was like, even as you are saying these things to me, and they were hyping me up, they were supporting me and like seeing me. I was like, I'm rejecting all of it and thinking, you're wrong. The church is true.
Mhm.
Joseph Smith's a prophet. Like that's just like, and when that
Wow.
happened, and he just said, "Oh, you're still deeply in it. Just give yourself more time." And that permission, that just space to be like, it's like you have to lose it. It
Mm-hmm.
has to like dissipate. Like the propane from the gas fireplace has to burn off because it's just in my cells. And when he gave me that permission, I realized, oh, it's not a light switch. It's not a shelf break for me. It's
Mhm.
it's a deconstruction over
Yeah.
time because I spent 40 years, living, breathing, and trying to form it to be my life. And now, you know, I have to shed myself of it.
What a gift that he was able to do that and did it patiently because we've learned because as people told us we were in a cult and then we left and told the people who were still there that they were in a cult and some people we were able to pull out and some people we weren't. So we know we can't just say that now, right? People have to have their own
Well,
awakening and their own.
yeah, did you guys
Yeah.
have like kind of survivor's guilt? Like you got out, like you want to
Oh
go
yeah.
back in, and that's kind of how this show even came to be. Like surviving Mormonism feels like if we can do that, if we can throw one starfish back into the ocean, let's throw as, you know what I mean? If we can help
I
any,
d- I do feel that it's sort of there's like the silver lining of it that we get to help people, but the underneath of it is still driven by the same kind of like in the same mission oriented way that I was trying to build Nexium when I realized it was wrong. I'm still like driven to destroy and like shine a light on cults. And while that's good, it still comes from very much the same place and
fire
also cleaning
within.
up my mess. Fire within, yeah.
Yeah. I
And
feel that
I
too. I feel
yeah,
that too.
it's like what this has to be done. Like it's the right thing to do, which may also feel kind of spiritual, like purposeful.
Well, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
we were great warriors,
Yes.
before, and we're great antagonists after. And if you really want to go deep culty with me right now, like me telling
Yes.
you is going straight to a Book of Mormon scripture of like God's greatest enemy when he turns for good is God's greatest hero. And like I go straight to a Book of Mormon scripture. And I just did a show called Surviving Mormonism. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it's just in my train of thought. Like music lyrics, it will never leave me.
It may slow it will never leave you, but I feel like it will slowly be less, is my thought, as you keep peeling and keep talking about it. My guess, I don't know.
Well, there's
Yeah,
also
at least it
parts of
hasn't
it
been.
that you're aligned with still that are good. So you have to kind of like make those distinctions of like what's me and what is the church, and are they, parallel to each other and they contaminated it, but this can still be me and my expression. And I
Like
think you're doing a good
separate.
job from what I can tell. I mean,
Mm.
my guess, if you don't mind me saying, is I think there's a lot of things cursory in my experience because my dad was born in Ogden, was born Mormon as well, and I spent peripheral time and energy around Mormons, but it was always very positive, and there was always a very positive vibe, juxtaposed to kind of what the rest of the world. You go back to New York City after you've been in Ogden, Utah, there's two distinct feelings. There's a lot of positive things in there. You come across as positive in things that you do. And I don't know how you feel about attributing that to Mormonism, but I don't think that's a negative thing. Would you? Like,
Yeah,
I
how's
mean,
that process?
I hear exactly what you're saying, and it's like I mean that's kind of that earnest, like go get them half glass full, like everybody's a friend, like strangers just a friend I haven't made yet, like I feel that. Like I think that's who I
yeah,
am.
that comes
Mhm.
across.
But that's also this kind of cornball Mormonism too. And
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
don't know if it's
that's
different.
what you
I'm
got to
glad
figure
that's
out,
who
right?
I
Yeah.
am. I'm glad
Yeah.
that that's
Yeah.
who I am. But and I attribute that to the faith and to being raised in the 80s by like dedicated Mormon parents, like they were doing it.
Yeah.
They were in on it. And Mormons are so nice that's and they're so rich and they're so powerful. And it's like, but if they're all those things, then shouldn't they also be inquisitive about the shadow side of such a huge institution and be open
Yes.
to
Yeah.
hearing experiences that don't align with theirs? That's the one
Mm.
red flag to me is like, why so defensive?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah, let's go there.
everybody has room for improvement, even the true Church of God.
When was the first time that you realized there was a shadow side? What was your first real hit of that?
When I got divorced. When I got divorced and I was a single mom and I call it like it's the writer in me. I was a dangling participle, I just felt like no one knew what to do with me. It made everyone uncomfortable. They weren't sure how to define it. I was still doubling down on Mormonism and on that community in order to keep continuity for my kids. And I was exhausted and I was in my bishop's office because I reported to him. I was like, he was in charge of directives, but I was in charge of like the legwork. Like this family needs food, this family needs a babysitter, they need a funeral planned. Like, and I was the Relief Society president, which is like, and I was a single mom. They knew I was going through a divorce. It was a matter of time before they pulled me and got a married woman in there, but they were, treading softly. And he made some comment to my daughter about her dad. And I thought, this is messed up. Like he's pulling me from a resource for my kids, and then he's criticizing their father, and he's not doing anything to actually help. And in fact, I'm working for him. Like this
Mhm.
is this is like the reverse ministering that should be happening right now.
Mm.
And I just felt like um I just felt invisible and forgotten. And like where I'd felt powerful and a leader, I felt used and manipulated and exploited. And I went home that night and I
Mm.
remember like feeding my kids like frozen burritos and just
Mm.
thinking, I he probably thinks that I'm divorced because I didn't do a home cooked dinner for my husband, but it's because I was in his office being, you know, scolded on doing a better job. And that just disconnect just came crashing down. And I thought, this is bullshit.
So interesting that what it takes for everyone, such a personal thing to have the reality being inconsistent to kind of like snap you out of the dream.
And it's,
And this
it's
was
a
all,
frozen burrito, a Lynn Wilson bean
yeah.
and cheese burrito in a paper towel. And you think, what am I doing with my life?
Heather, I have to tell you a very quick tangent about of somebody who was in the 12 Tribes Church, who was a guest on our show. And one of her moments like that was 12 Tribes, you can't eat chocolate and you can't use the like communal money to buy stuff like that. But she was at Rite Aid, like purchasing some stuff for the cult. And she picked up a bag of Hershey's Kisses and she was going to buy them. And then all of a sudden she was afraid that somebody might be following her or watching her. And then all of a sudden she was like, what am I doing? I'm in my 40s and I'm afraid that someone's going to be upset with me for buying Hershey's fucking chocolates. and then she put them back on the shelf, like the metaphorical and figurative, like actual shelf. And I just think but that was a seed that was planted for her, that eventually helped her wake up. And for you, it was a burrito. You
Yeah.
never know. You never know what it's going to be.
But that watching, everyone watching and like being our brother's
Yes.
keeper, I remember like a moment walking into Michael's and I had on a tank top and cutoffs and I was with my daughter and I started to do the thought like if I see anyone, I'll say I was boating, I'll say I was gardening because I didn't have my shoulders and legs covered. I was not wearing the sacred garments, and I would always have a reason. And I thought, I don't need a reason. They know I'm a bad Mormon. They know I've left the church. Like, come at me, bro. I'm going to walk into the store, shoulders and knees, and but I still feel it and think it, even, and I just have to walk through it.
Yeah, it totally. You always have an excuse ready so you don't get in trouble. Still, I just remembered something as you were talking. I would always skip the mission statement, and Nippy would as well. It was like the 12-point mission statement at the beginning of
I would
class.
mime it and make fun.
Nippy would leave. I would go to the bathroom and pretend I was having like stomach issues, and then I'd be like, putting on my mascara and like doing whatever I need to, checking my email. And then I'd be like, if anyone knocks on the door, I can say that like I'm, having stomach issues. But really, I just didn't want to say the fucking mission
Yeah,
statement.
it
It was
was
so bad.
painful.
Excuse my language. You get it.
That shows us that it's a little bit culty.
Yeah, if
Well,
you have to like, you're an adult and you're coming up with the excuse for why you're not doing the thing you don't want to do, that may be a sign that you shouldn't be doing that thing. That's good advice.
I
yeah,
like
that's
that.
great advice. We should put that on a t-shirt.
Cut and
Probably
paste.
condense it a
Cut and
little bit.
paste.
Yeah, maybe you could help with
Yeah.
the marketing.
Run that through chat. Um, all right. So I have a question.
Yeah.
It's related.
Sorry,
It's it's
I'm
okay.
geeking out with Heather.
So when you start to have these doubts, are you aware that there's other dissenters out there? Like there's a place that you can go? Or are you just feeling if I have these doubts, and imagine the fantasy is a life outside of the church, where do I go? Are there resources? Did you know there was a warm audience? How aware of you of people who had left before? Or did you just think like it's the Wild West and like
Well,
what was your revelation?
I knew there was an audience, and that was the lone and dreary world. And like, even if I wasn't going to live as a Mormon, I was never going to cross the line and join them. And that was the Mormon stories. That
Okay.
was the ex-Mormon Reddit. That was like when I went on Mormon stories, I was terrified. John Dehlin to me was the pastor you know, of those who have gone astray. And even though I
That's
couldn't live it,
amazing.
and so I was afraid. And I knew there was a community. I didn't want any part of it because even if I wasn't going to live it, I was going to stay in it and say,
Mm.
you know what I mean? I was going to go
Yeah.
to the
Well,
bathroom and
yeah.
do my mascara during the
Yeah,
mission,
yeah.
but it was gonna I was going to, I was going to raise my kids in it. I was going to go to the celestial kingdom with my family, come hell or high water. I would never have left. I would never have left my miserable marriage if my husband hadn't left. I was committed, and commitment is Mormonism. And I was
Yeah.
a commitment ruled everything. I made the choice. It didn't matter how I felt or what happened.
Well, are you guys friends now? Can you thank him for leaving, or is that I don't know
No,
what your
screw
status
that.
is.
No,
No.
never.
Forget it. Thanks,
I'm not
Billy.
that involved. I'm not that grateful.
Slow down, Sarah.
Yeah, come on, girl. Don't talk to me.
Lower the expectations here, Sarah.
So why did if he was like kind of sacrilegious in a way, why did you say yes to John Dehlin? I'm so curious.
Truth.
Yeah.
My business partner and best friend left the Mormon
Yeah.
church at 21, was a huge, huge influence on me. Like I would say something about Joseph Smith and she'd go, "That's made up." And I'd be like,
Oh,
"Shut up, let me live, you know? And
is
she
this
lived,
Andrea or Andrea?
yeah,
Yeah.
I call her
That's
Dre.
great.
Drea, yeah.
Andrea Robinson Dre, and she's just the
Yeah.
coolest human and most evolved human on the planet. And I am a terrible business partner and friend, and it was her birthday, and I had not gotten a gift, but I had been on Housewives, and I had a little bit of, that Mormon celebrity currency, and I knew that it was her dream to meet John Dehlin, to go on Mormon stories, but her Mormon story was just a Mormon story. And so she, you know what I mean? It was like and so I sent a Hail Mary email, like, I'll do whatever it takes. Like, I want to come on with Dre. And it was my birthday gift to her. And I swallowed the fear. And I know it sounds totally corny, but like it felt like a sacrifice for me because I was coming out. Like I was saying,
Mhm.
I'm going to join you on the side. And I know what that's going to do to my ability to ever go to a family reunion,
Right.
to maybe face customers at my store, to walk down my street, and to see the people that have helped me raise my kids and my kids' teachers and my doctor and my violin teacher. I didn't want
Mhm.
I wanted to stay safe with all those people, but I loved her more and she loved John Dehlin more. So that's how I got there. And I'm so grateful because that was the moment that really changed my whole trajectory and got me here today.
It's a love story.
And he's a consulting producer on surviving Mormonism. And
Oh,
there's
that's
digital
great.
there's digital content on Peacock available
Mhm.
about of his interviews. And if there's more stories to be told, if we get a second and third season, I think we'll see a lot more of him as well.
Oh, good.
That'd be
And
great.
I'm sure you will. I feel like the three parts, which we'll transition maybe into that.
Okay.
That's the transition. Doo-doo-doo. Um,
The
Is
next
that
room
no?
of the temple.
yeah.
Yeah. But I'm gonna
What?
one more comment.
Sure.
John Dehlin too is like the perfect guy to do what he's doing, in my opinion. I think he's
I agree.
very, very good at like, and I imagine the shock of people who are told certain things about John Dehlin and then actually meeting him and being like, "What?"
I know devil
You know what I mean?
horns and like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I just the polarities must be that must snap you
Every
out of
group
it too.
has a John Dehlin too, somebody who's like speaking out against it and he's the devil. And then you meet them and you're like, oh, you're so cool and smart
yeah,
and kind.
But
like
yeah,
take me under
he
your
has
wing.
Yes.
compassion for it.
He does. He's
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
incredible.
Anyway, you were transitioning. What
Do-do-do-do.
that
So, okay,
was?
let's just recap. So
Yeah, gotta recap that.
you 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 get divorced that and there's a burrito and you have an awareness that things are not quite right. Meanwhile, you have this incredible opportunity and Housewives changes your life and you kind of have to make a choice. Are you going to lean into this I'm leaving the church thing, which you do, and it's real. It's also part of your story in Housewives. And then, and I love this line in your book so much. You were like you'd been so afraid about all the things you'd lose, and then you had no idea what you'd gain by speaking out. Part two, what have you gained? What has this journey been like as you have all these people reaching out to you, and there's this whole world of ex-Mormonism as you are on the other side? What's this part been like for you?
I mean, I've gained so much. And like personally, I've gained, like self-divination and fulfillment and creative joy. And like I feel like 10-year-old me, her mind would be blown. Like I feel like every dream I've ever had has come true, and everything great in my life left came when I left Mormonism. And for a girl who thought that the only joy or happiness she would ever have would be based on Mormonism, to have my happiness overflow, the cup overflow, and the experiences and the conversations I'm having, I just, that's why I think I'm just on the grind because it's like I wasted so many years in this presentational role that left me high and dry. And now I just feel purposeful and, you know, important.
You
I
are.
feel like I'm doing something important and I
Yeah.
don't even know how or what that is going to look like, but it
Mhm.
feels it feels important. And I guess the reason I want to say that is because going on Housewives was felt fun, but not
Mhm.
necessarily important, like
Right.
maybe a trade-off, like a little bit of a joke.
Hmm.
But the greatest joke ever told. I mean, it's the greatest fulfilling creative thing I've ever done. And I love, 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 and I'm grateful for it. But like the book and the
Mhm.
ex-Mormon community and this show, meeting these participants and these survivors was like, I felt privileged and honored to have this opportunity, like to make a docuseries about people who felt silenced and unheard and
Hmm.
unseen.
I'm sure you've heard people say that you're the Leah Remini of the Mormon Church,
I mean,
right? What?
please say that.
I'll say it. I just said it. I've heard it before. I'm going to say it again on this podcast. A little bit culty. here we are. You are the Leah Remini of the Mormon Church, and it's such a incredible, bold, brave move because they like are they harassing you? Are they coming after you? I know they tried to bog you down in litigation for the use of the word Mormon.
Yeah. I mean, they challenged my use of Mormon as a trademark, but it just aired. Um,
Yes,
I think the church's standard is to trivialize, ignore it or trivialize it, which we've kind of
right.
seen on social media. They're like, surviving Mormonism is about very serious issues. It's about sex abuse, it's about conversion therapy. And the happy-go-lucky Mormons are saying surviving Mormonism, but it's just me baking cookies for my neighbor, or surviving Mormonism, but it's just me chasing my kids around the chapel. And
Hmm.
they're trivializing it and something that is most churches take very seriously. And I think
Hmm.
that speaks volumes of how victims aren't believed. So
Hmm.
I forgot the question, but screw the
I was
Mormon.
asking, yeah, I was asking if they're
Just
coming after
kidding.
you, but
Oh, they're not yet.
how, not yet.
I have a
Time will tell.
question
Yeah.
on the tail end of that. It's related. When we had Mike Rinder on, who's the Scientology litigator,
Yeah.
he was talking about, because one of the things we were talking about Scientology is there's an ecosystem to protect the abuser. Similarly, in the Mormon Church and anytime litigation, that there's lawyers waiting for lawsuits. Basically, there's an ecosystem of cash flow. And Mike Rinder said that doesn't change until someone politically decides to take on and runs their campaign on ending Scientology. How much does the ecosystem include like government, politicians? Like how much, like what are you up against if you start to make some real groundswell? Because I'm sure politically they're entrenched there. There's a lot of power there, and
I mean, I think the numbers were vastly underreported on the docuseries to avoid liability. I think the church is worth close to $1 trillion. I think that the
wow.
land amounts of land that we own, the farms, the ranches internationally, the churches, the seminary buildings. I mean, we're a real estate, empire and an agricultural empire. And I think that, I mean, Mitt Romney was a Mormon running for
Yep.
president. I mean, you can
He was
imagine.
close.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it is in the politics, it's in the law. We just outlawed the pride flag. I mean, it's like we do weird litigation because we are in charge and because we think that we're doing right, and I say we,
Yep.
I don't associate myself with it, but yeah, it's deeply in politics. It's your teachers, your doctors, your police officers. That police state morality is everywhere. And so I think that it's almost impossible to speak out and not affect it to not
Hmm.
expect it to affect you professionally. It definitely affected my kids socially. They paid a huge, huge price for me writing the book and going on the show and speaking out. They're all out of state now, and their lives are unrecognizable compared to their lives here.
Oh man.
Are they okay now? Is
They're
it
great.
better?
They were great
Yeah.
here, but they just
Yeah. It was a
were
lot of
they
pressure.
weren't included.
Yeah.
They didn't have a safe space to land.
Hmm.
Everything is church based. And so once they got out of the state, their lives just, Mormons are blips on the radar in Miami and Tampa and New York where they
Yeah.
live. They're just like,
Yeah.
Mom, no one even knows what a Mormon is. And I'm
Right.
like, well, they do now, thanks to Housewives of Salt Lake City and your
Yeah.
mother.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, truly. No, truly, they do. And I think so much of what you're doing is countering the sort of like, yeah, Mormons are weird, but they're nice. Okay, that's great that they're nice, but like, we're not talking about that. Let's talk about the weird shit happening behind closed doors and the fact that abuse is completely swept under the rug, which is obviously, the main through line of the series. How did that well, first of all, how did it come to be? How did you decide to do it? What was the sort of the mechanism that put that in your lap? Was that your championship? Someone brought it to
Yeah,
you?
no, this was me. I've been ever since I went on Mormon Stories and I saw the audience and the response of to the books. I mean, when I went on book tour and I saw like, the venues overflowing to capacity and people and like those were people that like they weren't Housewives fans. They were like Mormon fans. It was a very distinct difference on the book tour. And I just thought I had the opportunity, and I had seen what Leah Remini had done, and I was
Mhm.
deeply inspired by her work. And I thought, this is what I want to do. And I'd been pitching it to anyone that would listen. And when I started thinking about the stories we were going to tell and did some outreach, it became really ridiculous to me that I was talking to people all over the world about their horrible experiences when I knew that my best friend had a story and a horrible
Mhm.
experience that I had refused to listen to and never given the space to. And that's when I was just like, okay, this is like I've missed the mark here. And if
Hmm.
if
Mm.
I really mean this, if this is really a passion project, I need to start, close to home. And that was
Mm.
the genesis of the Ben story. I wanted to learn about conversion therapy, and I wanted to come to the table with some knowledge and kind of having pulled the curtain back a little bit, which I had never been willing to do, and to come to Ben and apologize and say, I was a devout member that put blinders on and refused to acknowledge that things like this ever happened. And I
Mhm.
was a part of the problem. And now I want to apologize and be a part of the solution.
It's such a beautiful moment. I mean, a hard moment, but an important one because I was just thinking as you were talking, this is where my spiritual woo-woo stuff kicks in just a little bit. What's left of it is that like most people, if they had that recognition, and many people wouldn't because it's hard to like face parts of yourself that you don't think are ideal, right? But they wouldn't like let anybody film it. Do you know what I mean? But you have this reality TV backdrop, and you know that that's like if you can capture it, it's going to change lives. Like you doing that for other people is going to make other people go, "Oh shit, I've totally done." Who hasn't done that? Who hasn't avoided something painful? And then, you know, either most people just avoid it. So anyway, the fact that you face it, filmed it, aired it for other people to follow, it's incredible. Like I think that that's going to have ripple effects you don't even know yet.
I hope it does. I hope people hear Ben's story and they share their own. I know that there's many, 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 many more stories out there similar to his, as horrific as his was. And I think that's the magic of reality television.
Yeah.
Hmm.
In my bubble, the only way I had to see how other people lived was through reality television. And
Yeah.
it gave me perspective I never would have had otherwise. And so I kind of want to pay it forward, like
Mhm.
we are we are of a reality television world. We're of a TikTok world, we're of an iPhone world. And I think that it's impactful if we can use that medium to, share real hard experiences.
Show reality that's actually reality. How ironic,
Oh my God.
right?
The meta podcast.
This is so meta.
The meta of it all.
Yeah, wow, my mind's blown.
I
Um,
think
you what?
if I'm gonna,
Sure.
as long as we're pumping her tires, I think inconveniencing yourself to fix what you feel like you may have, I don't want to say broke or whatever
Part of,
part of,
yeah.
and that's everyone's journey. I don't think it'd be fair for me to say, oh, you did it appropriately and vice versa, right? I think it's an internal process. But you have to go do something in action to demonstrate, for me, I think there has to be an actionable, quantifiable thing in the world that you're doing something to mitigate what you may have participated in. Cleaning up your mess, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel that. I feel that. And
yeah.
I think that's what I mean by it feels important and it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels like penance and,
Yeah. Kind of,
that.
for lack of a
I'm
better
into
word. I
that.
mean, but the word works. It feels that way.
Oh, that's a hard word. We had penance too. I don't know if you know that,
I mean,
even though we weren't religious. Yeah.
I know penance. That's why it's such a charged.
Oh, but it's true. I mean,
No,
it's there for a reason.
there's a physics to it.
There's a physics
Yeah.
to it. Yeah. Thanks, Nippy.
It's an inside joke.
It's Keith used to say shit like that. So you're
Uh,
like, oh, whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay, so
But
so
it's
you've
still
done
in
this year.
you. You
I
still feel,
know it's still
recall
Yeah.
it. It's a little bit
still in
cold.
there. Yeah. The part of the mission, I'm diverting for a second. Part of the mission statement, there was this line that was like, I will not, successful people do not steal.
I have no desire
I
or
have
need
no
to steal.
desire or need to steal. I will not steal anything. I will always earn what I need and desire. And so if there's like a basket of tampons or something in a bathroom and I want to take an
It's pretty
extra,
specific.
I have the line in my head. I make successful people not steal. Anyway,
But you will
you
earn
get
a
the
desire.
idea.
And you know that stated mission statements weekly too, as young
You
women.
did?
Yeah. And I could state it. I mean, we would all stand and
Mhm.
collectively say, we are daughters of a heavenly Father who loves us and we love him. We will stand as witnesses of God at all times and in all things and in all places as we strive to live the young women values, which are faith, divine nature, individual worth, knowledge, choice and accountability, good works, integrity, and virtue. We believe as we come to accept and act upon these values, we'll be prepared to make and keep sacred covenants, strengthen home and family, and prepared it or something in the temple. I messed up the last part. I think there's been some
But it's
change.
there.
You've definitely
It's
done that
it's
before.
there.
Um,
Too many times. I'm
Every
sure you had to
week,
say that.
every week we would say it. And I'd make my daughter stand up and say it with me. And I'm so grateful that they don't have to chant that to know that they are a daughter of God that is loved by their mother and the world and humanity.
Oh, they're so lucky to have you. Okay, back on track.
I think
That was my divergence.
that was fine.
That was good.
That's
It was
my
great.
spiritual woo woo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. Um, Sidebar, sorry. Have you, sorry.
Going back to the sidebar, we just left it.
No, it's in my, I have these like
I
bookmarks in
understand.
my head.
We're married, I know.
You know how my mind works. Have you ever met or spoken with Leah Remini?
No, but I'm gonna reach out and say, what'd you think?
Can I connect you, please?
Please.
I would love,
Oh my
I would,
God.
yes, I would die.
I'd like to see that
I
union.
really want to be, I want to like I want to get the three of us together. I want, this is, I'm
Yes,
just setting it, I'm just
I'll
making,
show up if you
okay,
can
I'm
make it
planting a
happen.
seed. I'm planting a seed. I don't know where it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. All right.
It's so
I'm
cool.
getting myself back on track. That'd be amazing. That would be, I just got goosebumps. Okay. Um, we'll cut my waffling out so we sound really on top of it.
I
I'm just
mean,
looking
I
at my
want
notes
that
here.
in. I want that permanent on the record that you're going to get us.
Okay. I would love it. I think that she would love it too. I think that's important. We need to unite this
Yeah,
force.
absolutely.
Um,
Do it.
okay.
Avengers.
Avengers, a new group. So, okay. So you've been participating and producing Surviving Mormonism. What what change in your ideal world, what would you like to see happen in the LDS leadership?
I would like LDS leadership to call local authorities first and foremost when crimes are reported. I would like true believing members of the church to acknowledge abuse as a crime, not as a sin, and to be more focused on protecting victims of abuse than they are in rehabilitating and redeeming the perpetrators. And I want
That's
more
amazing.
Yeah.
people to share. And I think the more people that hear these stories will share their stories. I hope there's some sort of tipping point where there is there is just outrage and community and a
Mm.
place for for abuse survivors to feel seen and feel validated.
Do you think that means the end of the LDS? Or do you have hope that they can reform? Or what's your,
I mean, the people are joining the church in droves.
wow.
The negative stuff just drives more. And so I'm not worried about what the church wants or needs anymore. I think they have sufficient for their needs. That's a
Hmm.
Yeah.
temple thing.
Hmm.
Um, Very similar to your mission statement.
Yeah.
But I want to use the space for the survivors and just for the community to say, hey man, like I dedicated my life to this church. I dedicated my money. I dedicated my time. I raised my children in it. You should be, for as much love and support you would have given me when I called myself a Mormon, you should listen to my experiences when I call myself a victim of abuse. Because that just the fact that we
That-
cut them off and silenced them when they were 2 days before that, brothers and sisters in the gospel.
mhm.
I think that is something that members of the church should look at and investigate and challenge themselves to see how they can change it, how they can reform it, because I'm out and I'm not ever
Mhm.
going back. And um, this show is about the survivors and their stories.
What I like is you have firm language to it. You're a victim of abuse. That's my experience. And there's no wiggle room, and that's what happened. And phrasing it like that, I think is powerful because a lot of people tend to muddy the waters with, oh, sin or whatever. No, I was a victim of abuse,
Yeah.
and it happened under your watch. So,
Has anyone reached out to you from the church yet, or too
No, I mean
soon?
it just aired. I put my phone on do not disturb last night just out of fear.
smart, smart.
They won't. I don't think.
We'll
Halloween's
see.
over. My pumpkins won't get smashed. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Mormons are nice, kind, good
Yeah,
people.
they're not
They'll
malevolent
kill
in
me
that
with
way.
kindness, which,
Yeah.
I don't think I'll get a box of snakes, but maybe they'll learn
But you
from
might
this.
get a little extra snubbing at the grocery store.
I hope not. I hope that
Yeah.
they overcompensate by being extra nice to show that they
Well,
have no idea what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna double dog dare them to watch your series and make changes because if they are who they say they are, they will. And they might not be strong enough. I don't,
That's it.
they might not be virtuous enough to take the feedback, but this is some serious feedback. We didn't even talk about the hotline. Did you
Oh my
know about the
gosh.
hotline before you started the series? And tell our
No
audience.
idea. I
Is
thought
it
a
free?
hotline was like
Yeah.
911, or to RAIN or to true mental health professionals, a hotline to a law firm. And when bishops are reprimanded for calling that hotline for calling authorities rather than the hotline, that is something that is just inconscionable. I don't even know how to say the word, but like there's no one that can say,
How do you say that word?
Unconscionable? She did.
No,
She got
conscionable. I know what you're talking about. Conscionable.
it's
unconscionable.
Unconscionable.
unconscionable. It's
Yeah.
how can you justify that? It's crime should be
Disgusting.
reported as crime, and sin should be redemption for sin should be an afterthought to children being protected from predators.
What was the most, I don't want to say shocking because that's not our podcast, but like the thing that maybe it is shocking. The thing that really rocked you the most that you heard.
Um, Lizzie's Lizzie's story was
Yeah,
was
with her
really,
dad.
really, 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 really hard to hear. To know that, Lizzie was born to a man that believed that God sent her to him for his pleasure. I mean,
Ugh.
and to frame that, I felt like Lizzie was remarkable and so articulate and strong and braver than I ever could have been, and came out of such incredible circumstances. And her relationship with Jenny, I just, I found their story so moving. She protected the church because she loved the church and she loved being a Mormon, and she protected her dad and her bishops, and she didn't even go after the church for decades. She assumed it was her fault somehow, and I just thought it was remarkable that she had the fortitude to, stand up to them and to be
You want to share
confident.
the story for our audience?
Yeah, we obviously our audience we're encouraging our audience to watch the series, but just to give a little background, two sisters, both horrendously abused by their father sexually, and the church essentially says
Gaslight.
gaslights them and says it's how would you define how the church
They,
failed?
the church failed because as this crime was reported repeatedly, the church focused on redemption of the dad and sent him home to continue to abuse his daughters, and covered up and kept the family intact at all cost. And knowing that she was being abused, just turned a blind eye and focused on his redemption and his return to full membership in the church rather than in keeping him away from his, children.
And this is probably there's I know that one of the most impactful things of the series is just seeing all these I guess they're Zoom interviews or
Yeah.
video auditions, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah,
Auditions not
on
real.
just
video?
Zoom
Yeah.
interviews, people
Yeah.
contributors, sharing their story via Zoom, and every
And
story is so
every
good.
story. Yeah, so wild. And one of the things that stuck out to me, which I didn't realize I mean, I know that most churches take a tithing, but the 10% trumps when one of the ministers said that you tithe more before you eat. Like you give money before you feed your family. How is that? How does that
Because
do you,
tithing isn't a law about money. Tithing is a law about obedience. And it's not about if you have enough, it's you give 10% of your increase to the Lord without question, and you put your faith in him that he
Mm,
will make things right on the back end. So as that general authority said from the pulpit, if a family in need has the choice between eating or paying their tithing, if they pay their tithing, they will be blessed beyond
mm,
measure. And that's where their effort should be. So you give your money to the church before you put food on your table. And that's the principle, that's the law of tithing. And it's the law of
right.
consecration that we believe in.
I really got that from your book, is that how people suspend beliefs or disbelief, I should say, because of the promises. The promises are so great. And once you've committed to that, the sunk cost fallacy, I suppose, of like letting go of everything you've put into it, because just in case you don't want to miss your spot up there, right?
How do you turn your back on 40 years
Yeah.
of doing this? This
Yeah.
drudgery.
What's your relationship to faith like now? How has that been on the other side of this? And what do you call yourself, if anything?
Well, I think I learned a lot about it, and I really confronted that question in the series because
Hmm.
I recognized all of us had something in common, and that was that we all wanted to be perfect Mormons and wanted
Hmm.
and believed in God and believed in the principles so much that we turned a blind eye to everything else in our lives. So to know that now I have no structure for God and no compass, no map, and I feel like I'm a spiritual woo-woo girl, And so I really want to embark on like what finding God means, like without any constraints, without any every mechanism I know to access God is like a Mormon mechanism, a Mormon
Hmm.
mission statement, a prayer, a
Right.
ritual. And I want to, now that that's been imploded, I really want to start from the ground up and find God and see what that looks like. And maybe in whatever form. And I'm saying the term God, but just, fill the void that has been created by, breaking free of this
Mm.
control.
If you are considering joining any other group and you want to know if it's a cult or not, feel free to reach out to me because
Now I have guides and mentors.
yes,
Before
yeah,
the call was coming from inside the house.
yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
have now I have the world as my oyster. I took a world religions class at BYU. I thought I knew everything. And I just can't believe that I sat there and looked at the scope of Sikhism and Hinduism and Islam through the frame of Joseph Smith and Mormonism and us being the only true faith on the earth. Like, that's not a world religions class, BYU. That is crazy talk.
Crazy talk. Have you seen the Book of Mormon on Broadway? You
Yes,
must have,
seven
Leah. Yes.
times. And no lies are told. It is such a perfect satire of our faith that I belly laugh and
I
feel like
bet.
seen. And I saw it as a believing Mormon, and I thought, people are going to see the good in it. And I saw it lapse Mormon, and it's, even funnier still.
I have
That's
to go
awesome.
back. I saw it when I was in Nexium and I didn't know everything I know now. So I'm sure I would appreciate it much more. But I remember there was two old women behind
That's
me
so
who
funny.
came thinking it was like a pro-Mormon situation and they left at
An
intermission.
intermission. They're like, wait, is this a comedy? Oh,
They were not.
they didn't get it.
They were not
They didn't
happy.
get the memo.
Mm-mm.
Uh,
So,
Um, I'm as I'm saying that I'm thinking about like so many things that I feel like we've covered a lot, but just to kind of lean towards wrapping up.
yeah.
How you've so many, we have listeners and you have listeners who probably want to support friends and loved ones who are, maybe questioning, processing religious trauma or processing if they're even in something healthy or not. We don't have to say call. This is a healthy thing for you? What advice do you have for people who really want to offer help and understanding?
Um, I just think compassion and empathy, because a lot of I just think compassion, because it was that moment of compassion when John Dehlin went, oh, you're still deep, you're still in it. It gave
Mhm.
me space to walk out of it. And I think that creating that compassion and maybe that like soft place to land when you're still struggling is an important step. in walking all the way out.
Well, you've certainly provided that for so many people. I hope you can keep up with your DMs as this series makes its rounds.
Well, thank
Yeah. So
you.
what now? What you have this coming out? Do you have
Well,
other
I
things in
hope
the
for a
hopper?
season
Or,
two. There's so more,
yeah.
I hope more stories are shared. And well, right now I'm working on a fiction book. So I'm working on, because, so much of what's really great is when you can fictionalize it. Um,
Wink, wink.
so I'm working,
Uh,
writing is like my great calling and I love it. And I love being a housewife and I love just being in this place now of I'm an executive producer. I never thought I'd say that, see my name in lights. And I'm just, I've lived the last few years without a lot of hope. And so now I'm just kind of on a new chapter and I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful to affect change. I'm hopeful to make a dent and I'm hopeful to leave a legacy.
that's
Oh,
awesome.
you definitely will. One of our new favorite questions we've been asking guests is, because most cults have a lot of rules. What are some of your guiltiest pleasures that you get to enjoy now without any guilt?
Oh, extramarital sex.
Yes.
Uh,
I was gonna.
real bras and panties. I mean, real
Yeah.
bras on my skin instead of bras over a garment t-shirt. It's
Ugh.
like it felt like shedding an inflatable suit. Like I was in an inflatable seahorse suit and just putting my bra on against my skin and underwear is the sexiest thing I've ever given myself the pleasure of having. And that is my number one rule break. I love it. Don't wear your
I-
bras over your garments, girls. Just don't do it. So
That's really
stupid.
good advice.
It's great advice, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you had your garments, we had our sashes. Both were horrendous. And mo most cults have something that you have to wear that are just like, what are we doing? But it's part of the obedience, I guess. I love this for you, Heather. I'm so glad that we finally met. I just think you're such a badass and so cool.
I was looking forward to this. This is like peak experience for me. And this was so easy and fun, right? Are they all this easy and fun?
I mean, I think we're
Just
the
is this
funnest
because
for
we just
We
sure.
connect?
we had a lot. We had a lot to work with, Heather. I mean, we had a lot to work with.
And we're a warm audience. We're not going to ask you questions like, someone from I don't want to diss on any particular news outlet, but so why do people join cults? Like it's just people
Well,
ask
This
dumb
is
questions.
this is a very safe space. Speaking of compassion and holding
Mhm.
space, but also this whole time I keep thinking, when are we going to start recording? Because it was talking, you know what I mean? I kept thinking, oh, I got to get my interview face on. But thank you for disarming me to the point where I never remembered that this was an actual interview.
those are the best
We better
ones.
be recording.
We
I'd be
made
so
we
bad if
made
we
that
weren't
mistake.
recording.
We made that
We have
mistake
done that
once.
before.
It was awful.
I'll never do that again. No,
We
I
could
think that's the
recreate
goal.
it. We could recreate it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
guys. We
yeah,
could.
yeah, yeah. It's easy.
Are you ever in Atlanta? Do you have
Um,
any reason to come here?
well, I do now to hang out.
Good
Yeah, I'm a
answer.
free
Yes.
bird.
Good
I'm an
answer.
empty nester. I'm traveling everywhere. And like I'm friends with a few of the peaches, a few of your housewives, Atlanta housewives. So
Oh,
Oh,
that's right.
wait. What's there was a woman here
We know.
who my son went to we're in class together. Our kids went to the same school and I'm totally blanking on her name now. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll message you
I
later.
hope
But
she
yeah,
doesn't listen.
that was my
yeah.
only I
Sarah.
hope you're not listening. You're so cool. Um, but yeah, come I would
Don't
love
worry, she's not.
I just am bad with names. I blame perimenopause for that factor, but that's real. Yeah, well, maybe here or maybe I feel like we're overdue to come to Salt Lake. I did tell John
Yeah.
Dehlin that we need to like do something. It's been a while since we've hung out. Have you ever done his Thrive event?
Yeah, I've done one of his thrives and I
Yeah.
would do another. I mean, I love those are my
Same.
people. And that would be really cool. And like we could hang out with Dre too, because she's the coolest and she loves you guys.
I'd love to meet her.
She's very, very cool.
Do you think I could come and
Yeah,
do?
we'll do a mini lip plump. We'll give you a little
I
between the
need that little.
brows.
I
What?
definitely need that. Nippy thinks I don't,
Also,
but
laser hair removal. If you got, pits and bits, we can take care of you. Don't
I'm
worry.
coming. I'll be on a flight in about 48 hours.
What do you do? What do you do for dudes?
And we are gender free. We do a lab zillion. It's belly button to backside, smooth like a dolphin if you're into laser hair removal. But if you're not into laser hair removal, we can give you a facial, we can give you a chemical peel, you can give you Botox, you can
I'll
get a,
do I'll do a facial.
we're not gendered. We do
I
it all.
definitely want to
Do a
do a
facial.
chemical peel. Do you do Moxie?
No, but we're
This
No.
Dre wants
this
to, so
podcast.
we might pull it in. But
Do you do
we
you
have it
do a
all.
tulip? Do you do
We
a
don't do the
tulip?
tulip, no.
No, you don't do the tulip. What about the big toe?
We do
He's
the
just
big
making it
toe.
up.
The big toe is really popular.
Yeah,
It's
I thought
we also
so.
do the
I
pea
thought so.
shot. If you're not
Yeah.
careful, you're going to get laser hair removal and a pea shot, and you're not going to be happy.
Oh my God, I love this so much. You know what? It's such a, I really like to also not talk about cults for a minute. Can I start a new podcast? I know, but seriously, you started this in the midst of all this. You have a thriving, we need to talk about that, thriving business. And you
Yeah.
open up another location and you're so entrepreneurial and like you're doing all these things. It's amazing.
I'm a Mormon man, pioneer grit, industry, the beehive state. You can't pull it out of me. If that's the good quality, it's that like
There you go.
always
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
I feel that. Maybe I was actually a Mormon in another life because I resonate with that.
I'm a
Girl,
Mormon in this one.
clearly we were in something in another life together for sure.
So Heather, the Latter-day Saints used to come to my house as a kid because my dad, I guess technically he'd be Mormon. And I remember a time they came to the door and my dad was upstairs and he goes, "Tell them I'm dead," while they were at the door. It's like- he's like,
It's the
"No,
only way
just
they'll take you off
they'll
the
go."
list.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
have to produce a death certificate, notary public too.
Oh dear.
Serious.
They're
It's
serious.
yeah.
I think they deemed they didn't want the Ameses back in the Mormon. I think that,
You know, you might not have added too much to
yeah.
the congregation,
Yeah.
but anything we didn't ask you, anything you wanted to say, any like final sound bites, people
Thank you
can
for
find
having
you,
me. Watch Surviving Mormonism. Tell your Mormon friends to watch it if they have, you know,
doubts.
any guts whatsoever. Any if they love their church, they should watch the show about their church.
Yeah. Yeah. If they really love their church, they should watch the show. That's a very basic fact.
That's a reasonable
A
request.
reasonable request. If it's not true, then it's not true, but you should just watch it and find out.
And you'll know what to defend or not.
Yes, exactly. Well, Heather, I can't wait till our paths cross in person. Wish you
Yes.
all the best
Thank
on this tour, and I'm going to give you one piece of unsolicited advice,
Uh,
if you don't mind.
Careful.
I'm
Careful.
ready. I'm ready.
If it gets too intense, and because you've already lived through it, and then you have to live through it again on the show and probably editing and stuff, if people want to get into stuff that you don't want to talk about it, just direct them to the show. Say that's exactly why we made this show. I highly recommend people watching it because it can be traumatizing to relive all those details
You're
again
right.
and again.
That's good advice, and I will do it.
Protect yourself.
You've seen me
Protect
Yeah.
doing
yourself.
it. I want you to think thank you. She's doing it right now.
You're outsourcing their work a little bit too.
Yeah,
You've
Yeah,
earned that. See,
that's a good point.
that's what I say.
that's
Watch
why
it.
that's one of the reasons we wrote our book.
I'm going to send you
Get
our new book
questions
when
and
it's out in
inspire.
Yeah,
the spring.
absolutely. I can't wait.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Very cool.
amazing. Well, I send you a big hug,
Big hug.
virtual hug from Atlanta to Salt Lake.
Hand
All
signal
the
across the
best.
universe.